So I've been looking, if you will, or at least thinking about a quick disconnect for the anti-roll bar, the anti-sway bar. And that's not going to do us any good. Just got dark, didn't it? We'll get some more light on the subject for my rear sway bar on my Razor. And, you know, there's some $70 solutions out there, but there's some free ones, or if you don't happen to have a safety pin, then perhaps it's a couple dollars at your local hardware store or Tractor Supply or whatever you may have. A couple things you need to do. First, you need to take this bolt off right here. I put an additional washer in between the sway bar and the bushing and reversed it. So, you know, the link is still on the correct side, the far side of the sway bar. I simply put the head of the nut into the side and left the nut, if you will, here. I've done that because even though this is a lock nut, I'm going to put a second nut on it to lock it in place. And I've done that because I want it to be just loose enough that I can pivot up and down and out of place. Factory, that's pretty tight, and you can't. You know, you're banging on the thing here. You know, I can move that with one finger, and yet it's still not rattling. So there's a real art. You're you know, within an eighth of a turn of how tight that is going to be, so that it is firm enough to not be loosey-goosey and not be creating a stress point, and yet still allow you to pivot this up and down. If you do that, then it's as simple as pulling your Velcro tie right here. Ooh, I don't know if I can do that one-handed or not. That's going to stay in place anyway from friction, but the wise man would have some Velcro, and you're going to have a problem keeping it dirty. Maybe you'd want to use a tie wrap. Maybe you'd want to use a bungee cord. For right now, boom. Well, actually, it's fighting me. Okay, that's an option, right? Just Velcro it in place, and then of course comes right off. You know, I'm one-handing everything, bring it into place, right? Line it up. Now, lining it up is a bit of an issue. And what size pin to use? These are all 10 millimeter, by the way. I have not yet, as you can see, put my second set of springs on, my corrected tender springs on this thing. As soon as I do that, it'll be a lot easier to do this. But even then, you can just grab up, reach up to your roll bar and tug on this a little bit, and it'll come down, and it should have enough stiction to get you pretty well lined up. Failing that, this is nothing more than a 3/8 safety pin with 3/8 shrink tubing on it to help keep from rattling and to take a little space up. So, you know, put the shrink tubing into a little bit shorter than, as you can see, what is that? Oh, I suppose that's 5/8. Might be 3/4 of an inch short of the pin. And you can run it down here, kind of maneuver things around a little bit so you get it right, and then it'll slide right in. Not gonna rattle now, right? Go ahead, clip it in place, bam. You know, I've been doing this one-handed. I'm holding the phone. One hand, single part, no, you know, you're not going to lose a cotter pin or a washer, nothing's falling off of here, right? Now you can notice as I go to jerk this out, the shrink tubing, even though I've heated it on a little bit, is staying stuck, and that's okay. I can pull on this a little bit, take a little tension off the razor, and it'll come straight out, right? So this is obviously the cheap option. If you could find a 10 millimeter, or if you want to live with rattle, it's plenty strong enough. You're not taking intense G loading. So there you go. There's the $2 if it's not free, or maybe it's $3. And you only need one side, by the way, right? Because once one side's unhooked, right, the sway bar is no longer exerting any kind of stress from the other link, from the other side. Now, as you can probably tell, I'm working on the passenger side right now, but that's just a question of more space. You would normally put this on the driver's side so you can get out, unhook your pin, right? Clip, boom, set it up. And again, you can bungee cord it or you can Velcro it. and you're unhooked. So there you go.